Crushing news for the Jacksonville Jaguars as rookie sensation Travis Hunter had knee surgery and will miss the remainder of the 2025 season.
You are Locked On Jaguars, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Tony Wiggins, the host of the Locked On Jaguars podcast that is a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is the #1 sports podcast network. Thank you for joining us for a special edition of Locked On Jaguars. For not so good reasons, Travis Hunter, the rookie wide receiver cornerback, Heisman Trophy winner, sensation, will miss the remainder of the 2025 season. Had knee surgery yesterday on an LCL, which I think is a lateral collateral ligament, but I'm not going to sit up here and act like I play doctor every single day. That's not what we're going to do. We ain't going to sit here and act like we know what all of that stuff means. We'll discuss that in just a few seconds, but wherever you get your podcast, man, make sure you tap into that location each and every day and become an everydayer. Shout out to the everydayers who join us each and every day here on the Locked On Jaguars podcast. Like I said, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of where we're going. We got two halves. The second half, we're going to talk about long and short-term ramifications of this. And we'll just start right now about talking about basically how this sucks for Jaguars fans, how it really sucks for Travis Hunter. And not to say that, you know, I'm sitting here trying to read people's body language, but when Liam Cohen initially came out and announced that Travis was going on IR, he looked despondent. He didn't look like he was expecting there to be any good news coming. And you know, you try not to read too much into it. You think, okay, well, maybe, you know, he just feels bad for the kid and he knew how close the kid was to turning the corner. He had just had a really, really good game. And you think he's disappointed because all of the yapping about people saying that he doesn't know what he's doing when it comes to onboarding and using Travis Hunter for the team. No, I think it was a little bit more than that. When you go back, if you look back and check on Jaguars.com if you want, and look back at the day that he announced it, he almost looked like he was ready to cry because I think he was anticipating, maybe they were hoping for the best, but they were sort of anticipating that they were going to get bad news, and bad news is what we now know came knocking at the door of the Jaguars. We hate talking about injuries, but they are a part of the game. We just don't like talking about them in an anticipatory way. But this is bad because not only is his rookie season going to be lost, the progress that he was already making, he's not going to have to rehab himself to get back just to where he was when he got banged up and got hurt, and then to get confidence into it. And there's already this big understanding or misunderstanding about exactly how they're going to use him as it pertains to not only Brian Thomas Jr. not showing up this year so far, but just as it pertains to him as an asset and what it means for this offense in the short term, in the interim, and the long term. It's just a terrible, terrible setback, in my opinion. And it now leads you to think that they also maybe this is also why they went out and got Jakobi Meyers. It wasn't just that guys weren't playing well, and it was like this was anticipation to we're going to need another guy like that to go along with Diami Brown, hopefully BTJ and Parker Washington. You kind of get the sense that they had an idea or a feeling that this is the way that they were going to have to go. And sad news, bad news, obviously, but the old mantra is next man up in football. Everybody isn't Travis Hunter, though. He's the kind of person that even in a little short stint that we've had him, you felt like he was always capable of doing something special, whether it be on offense or defense. And that game against Kansas City that night, man, when he was making good plays, guarding a Hall of Famer like Travis Kelce, and then he was able to go up, and then he was able to make people miss in space, and it gave people a glimmer and a glimpse of what he was going to be like. And then he had that good game overseas with against the Rams. Even though it was in a blowout, he had 8 catches for over 100 yards and got loose late and got a touchdown. it just gave you so much hope, man, that the kid was going to be able to be available for the rest of the season and that you could start to really pinpoint exactly how he was going to be used in the National Football League. Right now, that's going to have to be on hold. We're going to talk about short term, which I don't think is that terrible, although the Jaguars really do need a spark right now in offense, but mainly short, long term, and then I'm going to get everybody prepared and ready for the haters because they're coming, and they're coming with receipts, but that's all right. I'm going to show you how to fight all that stuff off when it comes to the way the Jaguars use Travis Hunter. We'll do it in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars. All right, today's show is sponsored and brought to you by Built. Nobody likes paying rent, but if you must, you might as well get something for it. And that's where Built comes in. Built is changing the game by turning your rent payment into real rewards you can actually use. When you pay rent through Built, you earn flexible points that can be redeemed towards hundreds of hotels, airlines, a future rent payment, your next Lyft ride, and more. But Built isn't just about rent. It's about rewarding you around your entire neighborhood. Dog groomers, man. How many of y'all love my dog? When I had my dog, I used to get dog groomed all the time right in the neighborhood. Had my favorite taco spot for Taco Tuesday. And guess what? The rewards are accepted. That's right. Built in your neighborhood. Make sure you check it out. Turn your rent into rewards and start earning points around your neighborhood by going to joinbuilt.com/lockedonnfl. That's joinbilt.com/lockedonnfl. Make sure to use that link so they know that we are the ones that sent you. And today's show is sponsored and brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Yep, the NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game and want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, rolling along, moving and grooving, and all of that fancy stuff that we say on Locked On Jaguars, the number one podcast network in the world here on the Locked On Podcast Network. That's right, the number one sports podcast, and we are very, very proud to always have our everydayers represented. Y'all got together with me today for the second time, and I don't like shows like this. Bad news, Travis Hunter gone for the rest of the season for the Jaguars. In the short term, they don't get back another alpha playmaker and a difference maker when they're about to make this run towards either the wild card or a little bit of longer odds now that they lost to Houston to win this AFC South division from the Colts. So they won't have a dynamic player. They won't have another playmaker who can do things that are above the X's and O's or beyond the whistle, if you will, one-on-one, making people miss, getting that extra yard that you need or yardage that you need for a first down, being able to jump ball and catch balls down the field. You're going to miss that element because the Jaguars don't have a whole bunch of people right now that's being able to make explosive plays for the team. Long term, it sets his development back a little bit, but it gives everybody, and it's an unfortunate time to say this, but it gives everybody to take a deep breath and come up with a plan of action on how he's going to be used in the future. Where will he play the most? What will you lead with? Will he be a wide receiver 100% of the time? And then we're going to put him in some critical situations as a corner. Will he be a full-time corner? And you're going to use him in certain situations at wide out. I don't kind of think that's going to happen. The chances are that they continue with this same thing where they're, he was more offense heavy, but still considering him a starter and still trying to let him live his dream of doing both. I'm not going to tell you that the injury has anything to do with making me want to be scared to continue down that path. I'm not going to sit here and say that This changes my mind about that. It kind of reminds me to not take anything that you're getting from him for granted by trying to get everything to make up for like whatever you gave up for him in the draft and to justify it and all of that. And I'm not necessarily saying that's what they're doing, but it just seems like to me sometimes when things like this happen, it's a moment for everybody to just take a deep breath and decide, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to focus on this area with him. Nobody anticipated this kid getting hurt. He's durable. He's been super durable everywhere he's been. But I told people the NFL is totally different. And this was a non-contact thing. You're going to have the naysayers start coming out. And this is what I want to warn everybody against. Yeah, I heard he was working a lot trying to do two things and he was putting too much stress on his body. You're going to have the internet doctors come out and tell you that. You're going to have them somehow make you believe that this experiment, if you will, one that Travis wanted, by the way, but this experiment to let him play on both sides of the ball somehow caused this injury to happen. You're going to have some people say, well, as unfortunate as it is, maybe what this means is the Jaguars need to figure out a better course of action, and this gives everybody a chance to have a reset. You're going to hear all of that stuff, all the conspiracy theories about who did what and how they didn't do something in the performance department. You're going to hear it because people are just going to be upset, and that's how emotional folks react to stuff like this. Just don't let it get to you. It's a non-contact injury, man. Nobody did anything wrong. It's just what happens when you play a gladiator sport and you constantly have to keep yourself in shape and you constantly have to move and stay engaged and stay involved. This is what happens in sports. Long-term ramifications. The Jaguars gave up their first-round pick last year and this year to Cleveland. Right now, that pick will be something like pick number 19. Whether they win or lose more games, it'll go up and down. But there's going to be all kinds of talk about all of the things that we need and our inability to go get them because we got nothing for Travis and we didn't get very much production because he got hurt. Have the debate. This is cool. I just would hate for people to use an injury as a reason to think that you won some sort of debate about whether or not he's worth it. That just seems a little bit tacky to me and a little bit like piling on at this point. Nobody can anticipate injuries in the NFL. Well, anyway, the Jaguars have a chance to still do some things down the stretch. Of course, the rest of the week we'll be talking about that and how critical this game is to win with the LA Chargers coming in here on Sunday. Both teams in position to get a wild card. They're going to have to do it knowing that Travis Hunter won't be with them the rest of the season. We'll see if guys can step up. It's going to be next man up. I know it sounds cliche, but it is what it is. All right, make sure y'all tap in tomorrow on Locked On Jaguars. I'm sure this will also be discussed in the morning with Tyler Rowland on Locked On NFL. And then I'll slide by for the second edition of Locked On NFL in the barbershop in the afternoon. You guys, thank you again for joining us and making us the #1 sports podcast network in the country. We appreciate you and don't take you for granted on this special edition. About 13 minutes and 40 seconds. I'm glad y'all tapped in with me. We'll see you later.